Ladies and gentlemen, I've been watching YouTube for so long that I gotta get started. Like, this is why I'm here. So, 2007, 6, I was on YouTube before it was incorporated, trademarked. It was just YouTube. So, here I am, jumping into the current and swimming along with potentially my school of fish. So let's see what happens with this video. I'm gonna do a newbie tag because this is what you do when you just start, like I feel like I'm this forum user with a horrible picture and low post count, but everybody started somewhere, so let I sweep the streets as I climb my way up to the temple of YouTube gods and goddesses. Here I am. This is so awkward for me. This is like take 2, so I might cut a little bit. I said I wasn't gonna cut, but here I am cutting out. I just saw myself do the first take and I was like, Ivan, breathe, brother, relax, speak freely, be yourself. All good advice in general. So, Booktube. Newbie tag. Why did you start this channel? I just started to watch Booktubers and it was like, that's what I can do, I've been watching YouTube 13 years, dude. Long time, like The Amazing Atheist, this guy named DeMarco something. I don't even remember all the YouTubes I was seeing in 2007, 2008. It was just cool. It was like funny to see these dudes spout and speak and just exaggerate and kind of act in front of the camera. It was very personal. And years and years and years later, here we are, 2020. The world is upside down, inside out, and topsy-turvy. I started watching Booktubes, and this is me watching Booktube. That is what I could do. So I guess that's sort of the nucleus of why I'm here, is just want to join the crowd and start hanging out and talk about books and share myself. Also, next question. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? I'd say I'm a writer, most of all. So what I bring is, a little bit of reader Booktube-ness, but also writer Booktube-ness. And that's something I haven't really seen yet, or I just haven't found it. I feel like that's more likely true. You start something, you're like, yeah, I'm the first one, and then you do a little research. Oh man, everybody does that. That happened when I got a Volvo hand-me-down, and then I was driving around so happy for my Volvo, and I was like, oh man, everybody's got a Volvo. It wasn't a Volvo, it was a Volkswagen. Well, there you go. That's how much I know about cars. So, next question. What are you most excited for about this new channel? I'm excited to meet the people, meet the community, chat, just share things. That's why I'm here. Jeez, I'm super excited about that. It's like I get to join the conversation, talk about books I love, and just share myself. What's more artistic than that? Here I am, Who are you? That's what I'm excited about. Why do you love reading? Why do I love reading? Because it makes me feel good and it's fun and it gives me something to talk about, and I feel like I share culture with people. I imagine our minds as these libraries of information, pornography here, books here, politics here, friends here. We're just these spinning vats of information, and I feel like I add to myself whenever I read. I feel like I find more about myself when I read. I feel like I become a better person, and who doesn't love that? So it's a shared passion. Also, I love to write, and reading and writing are like, yeah. Anyway, what book or series got you into reading? Well, when I was a kid, my mother and my friends' mothers all organized this like book club for us, and we would just hang out and we would read The Giver and The Cricket at Times Square and stuff like that. Holes. And it was just cool. You know, books used to be, still are, will be, whatever, this thing that you share with people, and you communicate with it. You commune with books. And that really got me. I would say that's the series that got me into reading. But it was really on and off, even back then. Even during the picture book, grade, school books, chapter books, like that was really early on. I wouldn't say I was a reader until after I graduated. And the author that got me into reading was Charles Bukowski. Like, that guy blew my mind. And say what you want about his style or his content. You could argue that he was a bit of a cad, a bit of a beast. But to me, I was only attracted to that, you know, the roughness, and he was so coarse, and I had never heard that or found that in literature. And so when I read Women, whoa, like that's possible, you know. And that's a similar story you hear with a lot of people. You know, they read that one book that's like, that's possible. And I would say Charles Bukowski not only made me a reader, but made me a writer. So, praise to Chinaski on that one. Next question. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Well, I have 3 favorite booktubers right now. The first is the Poptimist, and man, like, check him out. He's so cool. He really feels like the books that he's talking about. Like, you know, he reviews things that he cares about. And Mr. Poptimist, I would have to ask you, like, what books would you never read? Like, do you have a line drawn in the sand? You're like, you know what, I just don't go there. Or I don't read those kind of books. I'm curious because my instinct is that you don't have any books like that. But I want to be wrong. Like, I want to hear if you're just like, this is not for me. You know, at least something's not for you. Like maybe poetry or something. But I think you read some poetry. Anyway, the second booktuber I really, really like is Readwithcindy. Like, come on, who doesn't like Readwithcindy? She's passionate, engaging, her editing, whatever, her emojis, like she's all over the place, yet so focused with a unique and personal style. She wouldn't want to be labeled as unique or different, you know, but sorry, Cindy, like you are, and you're awesome, and I think everybody likes you for that. My question for you, though, would have to be about something you said in one of your videos. You made it very clear that you cannot be contacted for any reason unless it's to make that coin. And I would just ask you to open up a little bit about that, because yeah, a part of me does imagine this booktube bringing in some money, you know, like, or else it'd be hard to really focus on it. But you mentioned that when you talked about how you do this for fun and how it's a lot of fun for you, and you wouldn't do it otherwise. So I would just ask you, Cindy, like, to touch a little bit more on that. Like, do you focus on the fun and like whatever happens, or like has Booktube become this thing after so many years where it has to be valuable for your time, you know? So something like that. And then my third favorite booktuber is this super funky guy. I think he's from Austin, and I think his name is Eddie. I guess I've watched so many of your videos, dude. Anyway, it's called the Paperbird. And I paused for a second because I always think of him as the paperclip. I don't know, my head is paperclip. But Paperbird, the freakiest, most absurd David Lynchian walking through a Salvador Dali dream in like William Burroughs prose form. Like, his videos are insane. It's Baroque art, and I love it. And the only question I would have is a question I already asked the Paperbird, man. Like, what do you think about my books? Like, it would blow my mind if you read one of my books and reviewed it. So that's on you, homie. Up next question. What challenges do you think starting a Booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Like, the hardest to overcome are gonna be that I'm talking to a camera. Like, what the hell? I'm not used to talking to a camera. Like, I need data, someone said once. Like, I need to see somebody's face and like react, pause, you know, repeat what they said, emphasize certain points. Here, I'm like some unknown Shakespearean character soliloquying, monologuing. Like, it's really weird for me. And I think my biggest challenge will be getting over this monologue. I need interruptions. I need to be distracted as I talk. It brings me focus, you know? So yeah, talking to a camera for a long time, like, and this is something I tell my students. Like, I teach English, and I tell them, when do you talk English for an extended period of time? And they're all like, we don't talk for an extended period of time, period. And that's exactly right. And it's a challenge, man. It's a challenge to talk for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes. It's hard. I run out of breath, you know? So biggest challenge will be that. Please interrupt me. You know, if you have a question, raise your hand. Okay. When did you start reading? Man, when did I start reading? When I could say my ABCs, dude. Like, a long time ago I started reading. I think the question is really asking, when did you become a reader? Because I didn't become a reader, capital R, you know, until after college. Like, before that, it was just picture books, chapter books. Like, I read Harry Potter, you know, like I read the books you had to read growing up. But again, back to good old Henry Chinaski. Wasn't until I read him that I was like, this is what's up. This is like worth spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on. So that's me. Where do you read? Why do you ask? I'll tell you. I read everywhere, man. I read in this chair. I read on that bed. I read outside in the park. I read on the subway on the way to work. I read climbing up the stairs on the way to work. Like, I read all the time. Gotta read. Love it. So that's what I read. Answer everywhere. Last question. What kinds of books do you like to read? The kinds of books I like to read are the kinds of books I like to write. The kinds of books I like to write are, put simply, semi-autobiographical, literary fiction novels. I'll read anything, man. Poetry, genre, kids' books. But what I really, really, really like to read are those semi-autobiographical books. Man, I just like real life, but I also really like fiction. And I think what books give me is this sense of hyper reality, as some put it. It's this sense of what ought to be, you know, like, what should life be like? And that's what I love to read. Books that teach me things, that give me tools and that arm me and that give me something to talk about, you know? I love those kinds of books. And I find that the most in semi-autobiographical literary fictions, books that explore ideas in the real world, so then I can take it with me, you know? It's I would say it's more of a two-way road, you know? Some people read to escape, or to pretend to be a new character, or to just fantasize, and that's all well and good, like, dude, I was the kid who used to build Legos and just stare at them because I was imagining what they would do. I'm all about imagination. But if I had to pick, like, you know, some Castaway, Lonely Island, you know, books, or what's the expression, like, save them from a burning building, it would be like Anna Karenina and maybe like stuff like that. Semi-autobiographical. Literary fiction. Funky stuff. That's me. So, my name's Ivan Brave, and let's just try. Let's see what happens. You know, I feel like I really want to do this, and I've been talking about it with my wife, and I feel like this is something to pursue. So I'm not gonna share it on my Facebook or anything. So if you're here, it's because YouTube algorithms / organic search / whatever, like, and I really thank you for your time, and let's have a good show. Episode. Newbie tag. Yeah.